Are you getting started as being a real estate agent, or maybe you're someone who's been in the industry for a couple of years, but you're kind of struggling trying to figure things out? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about my personal journey and also how to get started with being a real estate agent when you have no money to your name, no money to run ads, no money for all those fancy call tools. Like, you just have nothing and you're going to get started. And I can tell you that when you don't have any money in the industry, it's not an impossible industry to get into. In fact, even before I was a real estate agent, I actually ran a mobile notary business. And I did it myself, I ran everything, and I started that with nothing, no seed money, no anything. And I can tell you, it's completely possible, but there are so many different paths. And the biggest caveat I want to tell you is do not assume that when one person tells you something, that is the only way to do things, because it's just not true. So when it comes to being a real estate agent, you don't have any money. Obviously, a lot of people, the licensing fees and stuff, it varies by state. Like, I think I spent like $700. I know I could have spent less, but still, it's one of those things where a lot of people don't understand that you need a little bit of money to get into the business. But I wouldn't say being an agent is probably the cheapest business to ever get into. I mean, there are a lot cheaper businesses, right? I mean, even like some companies with insurance agents can be a lot cheaper. Being an agent doesn't come with the cheap fees. Some of the more successful ones that I've been lucky enough to meet will never tell you this. But I've also met agents who seem to have this thing where you need to buy a business card, you need to do all these things, and personally, I think it's a load of shit, if I'm being honest. The reality is, you kind of got to get in, and like my biggest concern when I got into the industry was learning how to actually do the business, because I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I had rental properties before, right? So I bought and sold a couple personal homes, rental properties. Like, I kind of had a general idea of lingo, but I didn't know how to be an actual agent and actually have any basis of success to where this year, I made 6 figures, and it's just insane to still think about, because I doubled my business this year. But I realized that I had to figure out how to get things going. So when I got started in the industry, the individual that brought me into it, I actually worked on their team making minimum wage for the first year, which is actually kind of scary because it was Southern California. And I had 3 people at home who were worried about, surviving because of my income. And making minimum wage for a year was terrifying. I started off as an ISA and ended up working into being a broker's assistant, pretty much doing everything for him, like showing homes, everything. So I got licensed about halfway through that tenure. And I can tell you, while it was not the easiest experience, the cool thing about working with a top agent when I got started in the industry, like top 1% for that San Diego County, and having to do everything, I learned a lot. I learned how I should act, how to deal with even bad clients, even clients who are just so bad. Like, how do you handle them? How do you cut them loose when are they? Because what happens is, even if it's a bad client, you got to cut them loose. I learned all of that. And even in the first year working with him, I ended up assisting on his transactions for about 35 transactions, I think, if what I ended up working with. I ended up closing only one actual personal real estate deal that whole year. The cool thing was, I got so much experience during that time. And I can tell you, it's one of those things where, if you're getting started in the industry, I really do think working on a team is important, especially if you have no idea about real estate, you don't know how to be a good agent. I still think it was one of the best things I ever did in my life. Like, the amount of contract knowledge and how to handle certain situations that I got in that 1 year was nothing, no training or person could ever accumulate what I got to learn during that time. I mean, literally any success that I have had is because I worked that year. It's crazy, as you always hear people oh, you just gotta work for free or do all this stuff. Well, I didn't work for free. I definitely got paid. But you can't put a price on the knowledge you get with working with someone who is 1%. So if you don't have any money, that's my first recommendation. Now, let's assume that you're not joining a team, but you have a mentor who's gonna walk you through everything, give you the exact step-by-step, here's what you do, here's how you go about it. Well, there are a lot of ways to kind of circumvent that, and some things that I've tried. So cold calling, it works. Just having a dollar help? Yep, it does. I can also tell you that it's not the cheapest thing. So if you're really coming into this with not even a single dollar to spend, you're gonna have to be using your personal phone, which can be risky because, well, you're gonna be spending that money. But even a virtual phone number can cost as little as $12 a month. So understand that there are ways so you can protect your phone number so you don't burn it and stuff like that. The craziness side of it is a lot of people, I think, in the real estate industry don't really look at other businesses to see how they're gonna do things. So one of the coolest concepts that I put into practice this year was, if you're watching this channel for a while, or maybe you just got into it, obviously we have a community called, Target Agents. Or on Facebook, you have the Leverage Agent community, and it's literally just a group of agents. My whole purpose is like, I love being an agent, but I don't want to be showing homes at 65 years old. And starting now, about to hit 30 next year, is I'm like, especially having 3 boys, it's like, how do I structure my life to be that way? Well, that's what the Target Agent movement is, and it's a step-by-step playbook on how I still make 6 figures while working as little as possible in my business. I only assist clients directly in the tasks I need to work on. I don't worry about things that aren't necessary. Like, that's my whole purpose, and I show that in the Target Agent Blueprint with my partner Ed, who's an amazing marketer, and we show exactly how we generate our leads and how I operate my business to step away as much as possible and kind of keep my expenses lower. And if you're interested in that, the link is always down below, or you can look at the Leverage Agents group on Facebook and get a ton of knowledge for free inside of that group. And obviously, no matter where you are listening this, it's going to be in the description of this episode. But so the cool thing about it is let's assume you are closing a couple deals. You got started, you finally get those first couple deals. It could be from Sphere. Obviously, a lot of people say reach out to your friends, family. Personally, I didn't have any of that when I got started. In fact, even my wife's family in San Diego, they already had an agent in the family. So I didn't get family deals. I am lucky enough to where I'm closing one now. So think about that. I've been licensed since 2020, and I am now closing my first deal from family other than one referral from my dad. So I've closed one referral and one listing since 2020, since 3 years. And I've only closed 2 deals from my Sphere. And trust me, I stayed on top of them. They all know what I do. The unfortunate thing is, family wasn't gonna be coming to save me in this business. It just wasn't. So, I'll learn real quick that I'm gonna have to build it. And to be honest with you, some of my most favorite clients are ones that I just fully generated out of nowhere. Maybe it's because of the work that went in to do it, that it's just the appreciation is there. But I found for sale by owners were great. I got one deal from that pretty early on when I went independent after leaving my first team. And cold calling works. I love it. Now for me, I realized you can't avoid being on the phones. You have to be on the phones. No matter, I don't care if you're like YouTube, social media, guess what you're doing? You're talking to people on the phone to get them to an appointment. It doesn't change anything. Like, they're all just different ways to get someone on a phone, whether they're calling you or you're calling them. And sure, one might be a little bit more chaotic than the other, but it still doesn't change the fact that you have to talk to people on the phone, that you can't avoid it. Personally, I hated it. My problem is like, I love to be very involved with my kids, and to sit there on the phone for 5 hours a day forever. I mean, I still remember paying too much money for a coach because I thought cold calling is what I had to do nonstop. For them to look at me and be like, yeah, I mean, we still have a 60, John's like 60, I don't know what his name was, but he's like 60, and he still hits the phones every day, and he's crushing it. So like, you have no excuse. And I'm like, dude, that sounds gross. Like, why the hell would I want to be 60 years old still having to dial on the phone? Like, by that point in my career, I'm probably looking to give back to someone younger or my kids if they're looking to either join the business or start their own. Like, so that's not what I want to be doing. And that's where I realized there's a huge disconnect between what I wanted to do, which is a big thing when you're getting started, especially if you have no money. What direction do you want to go? Now understand, in the beginning, I just need money. I need money in the business. So like I said, for sale by owners, close deal for sale by owners, circle prospecting. So like, there was a listing, whether like I have permission from the agent to do it or whatever, like reaching around saying, hey, such property sold, John and Sally wanted me to drop by, spread if there's anything I can help you, I help them in this situation. Obviously, you can look up scripts. I don't care about giving scripts on this channel. I really don't. You can look up so many of them. Like Ricky Caruth, if you're doing cold calling, completely free training. Ricky Caruth is awesome for that. So I fully give people, I don't tell people, look, I do what I do for my business, but if it comes to calling, I love his methodology. He has a great YouTube channel. Look him up. You won't regret it. But aside from that beginning years, I do think a lot of agents need to start doing the social media and the YouTube. But understand, it's not gonna pay you fast. Like the cold calling, the door knocking, those are gonna be the fastest ways. Or joining a team that provides leads. Those are gonna be your fastest way to get early deals, I found. But I still think it's important to start that back end. Now, social media, I'm not a huge social media person. I actually just hired a VA in April to do all my social media because I despise it. I have closed deals on Facebook just by sharing my personal life and then throwing some real estate stuff in there. I got a listing from it in April when I started to do social media this year. So it works. Some people do it exceptionally well. I am not a social media guru in terms of that. What has been very well to me is YouTube closing a couple million in volume alone just from YouTube this year. And YouTube's one of those things where it's flashy, it's not easy. And I can tell you I also coach for one of the original people in the game. So if you want that, you can go ahead and head down below. I will add a link to that system to where if you want to get access to it, hey, you will not regret it. Or obviously if you're looking to make switch brokerages, you can always join me at EXP. You get that for free on top of my entire blueprint for free. And then you will get me one-on-one all the time, and we will get you to the next place. Why? Because the one thing I realize is I need community. So if you want to join a growing community of people who don't want to be showing homes at 65 and understand that the real estate industry is changing and it's just one stepping stone in the path to actually creating some financial wealth, then go ahead, you can reach out to me down below and let's have that conversation about getting you over here at EXP and joining our community of agents who are looking to make a difference. Now, back to getting started, YouTube, social media, I think it's good to start those, but make sure you're not wasting too much time. At the beginning, you're doing heavy on team leads, maybe it's like OpCity, whatever it is, cold calling, and then part-time, you're doing the YouTube or whatever, right? You can just be doing one video a week. You don't have to go crazy with it. But eventually, the goal is to get that to replace the other one. Now, the other cool thing I wish I knew when I was getting started in the industry is understanding that like a lot of brokerages have like rev share programs and things like that as well. And keep in mind, now I don't think it's important for agents to focus on in the beginning, but I do think it's pretty cool to understand that you have all these different ways to make money inside your business. And most companies, like EXP, Real, LPT is another big one here in Florida. But the concept is the revenue share, like it's people are like, oh, it's network marketing. I'm like, hell yeah, it is. A lot of people have made money with network marketing. Now, unfortunately, some companies are garbage. But I can tell you, if the company's been around a long time, like EXP, Real's getting up there, it's probably not a bad concept. Now, be focused on what each company allows. I've been a part of Real. I wasn't a fan. EXP is my choice. You have to make sure you align with who you like best. But understand that when you get started in this modern day and age of being a real estate agent, it's not just about closing deals. Where's that commission money going? Because it is a constant roller coaster. And even right now, the market is extremely weird. And this is me experiencing it for the first time with you. And I can tell you, my biggest thing is like I have stock that I've been buying from like, getting like, stock options for being part of EXP. Have agents that join me at EXP. Like you have all this ways to make money. I'm helping my upline coach for their clients for YouTube. Why? Because they needed someone. And it's all these different ways to make money. That's my whole concept. I don't need to be making $1 million just from sales in real estate. Now, do I make 6 figures? Yeah. And I look to continue to grow my business every year. Why? Because I'm competing against myself. But understand when you're a new agent with no money, there's a lot of ways to make money. Don't waste your time focusing on most of them. Your biggest concern is getting deals closed. Cold calling, door knocking, joining a team that provides leads, or eventually just slowly building up YouTube and social media on the back end for it to eventually take over if that's where you sow and choose. Also, another thing that I love is if you have business relationships, lawyers, attorneys, tax professionals, all of those things, to take a sip of coffee here, all those things will actually provide you deals. I mean, I closed 6 deals alone from one relationship in 2022. Like that's how powerful it can be. And for a lot of people who are like only 6 deals, like I get it. But when you're just getting started, that's a huge number. Like if you can take 6 deals and you're not paying a referral fee, it's just a relationship, come on, that's a win. Now, be aware that there are ways to generate money. So this concept I'm about to talk about is not for the faint of heart. So if you're not closing deals actively, don't do this. You're not ready there, get there. But when you're starting to close some deals, there is a concept there to where like obviously you can run paid ads. There are certain things you can do to generate leads and things like that. If there is something that you want to do, there is a concept where you can generate business credit 0 interest free. So obviously when you start to make enough money, talk to your tax professional when the time is right for you. Eventually you will create a company where you will get paid those commissions into. The cool thing is you can open up like Chase business, right? And like, for example, when I started my Tired Agent Blueprint, I went out there, I had a relationship with Chase. I opened a credit card under Chase with 0 interest for 12 months, and I got $15,000 to get that course off the ground. And that is the power of business credit, is where you can get it's pretty much like a free loan of money with no interest free. Now, because of how the market is, I can tell you I'm not trying to take any more leverage in my business. I'm trying to make sure I have cash. Why? Because I know that if I keep a little bit of cash, keep my debt down, I will be okay. I'll ride through this, and I'll be the cream that rises to the top. But it is a concept where I'm not gonna go too heavy into this video, but you can look up enough videos on YouTube, or if you join the Tired Agent Blueprint, I teach you how I did it myself to where you can use it to spend on ads and things like that. Keep in mind that it is risk. So guess what? If that money, if you do not get a return on your money, you will be out that money and you will still have to pay for it. So it's very, very risky. It's not what I recommend for new agents, but that when you start to get to that next level, I do think it has a purpose depending on what you are trying to do. Now, be aware that those are really the main concepts for generating money as a new agent when you have no money. I think it's one of the greatest things to do to be in real estate, but also understand is I love listening to those. You need to find someone who has been in the business, who can get you from point A to, let's say not Z, but they're getting you on that progress where you can like, hey, you want to emulate them like they want, like I want that life. Let me follow in their footsteps. That's what I've done. And I can tell you that I'm now at the point now where I'm actually excited, but I'm like, okay, like I'm doing the math this year. Like I want to break over 200,000 in just sales commission alone. I want to have 10 more agents join me at EXP, and I have all these crazy goals. I'm actually taking a part of my income and I'm investing it towards coaches in these specific areas because it's exciting. Like I've actually done it. And now I'm like, okay, how do I get to the next step? And you will get there too. You will get to that point. I can tell you when it's getting started, it feels like it never ends. It was 2 years for me. It really wasn't until the beginning of 2023 where I'm like, things are just making sense. All this work is starting to pay off. Now I just need to keep doing it and doubling the effort on what's working. And you will get there too. Now, if you are looking to get more concepts, you're a brand new agent, or maybe you just want to figure out how do I get off the ground, I'm not making any money, I'm feeling pressure in this market, down below, you can always schedule a call with me, one-on-one, it'll be with me, and you can figure out if EXP is the right choice, or if you have questions about the Target Agent Blueprint or anything in between, you can give me that meeting. Also keep in mind that we have the Leverage Agents on Facebook, and that is a free group where I'll even teach you how to hire your own VA for free. That is also always down below in the description. Hope you got value in this video, in this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one.